As a visitor to the world of dreams, Melody is chosen by an unknown force to be the holder of the Nightopia Blade, something that has only just been rumored to be a myth. Due to some unforeseen incidences, her and Knights are spit out in Traverse Town, far away from the world of dreams. So, with nothing but her wits and her new friend, they set out to find a way to get back to the world of dreams. But now that the Nightopia Blade is no longer protected by the Veil of Dreams, Organization 13 want it for their own selfish needs. They also want her and Knights, because they know there's a greater secret beyond the blade. Feeling the presence of another Keyblade, Sora needed to find out who it was that was holding it. So he went back to where it all began, Traverse Town. This is In the Night, Heart's Delights, Chapter 1, The Beginning. Melody's point of view. It all felt like a dream. It was kinda nice. Me and my friends were playing around and having fun. We were mucking around in the orphanage's park and garden. Well, until this happened. The sky grew dark, as if clouds were covering it. Looking up to see my friends, their faces distorted and became monstrous. I took a step back, being very scared. And then they bursted into shadowy monsters. They came after me. Gasping, I ran for my life as fast as my legs could take me, running for what felt like miles until I saw a light in the distance beckoning me. I looked behind me to see the monster still on my tail, and I bolted towards it, trying to get away from them. As I got closer and closer to the light, the monsters backed away. They were scared of it. They didn't know what the light held. As the light engulfed me, I entered the world of dreams. No one's point of view. Stumbling over her own 2 feet and falling to the ground, she heaved the air in and out of her lungs. The young 13-year-old girl had looked around at where she was, not knowing what this place was, as she had never seen it. It looked like an old-time square, an old park. What is this place? Melody asked herself. There was a fountain in the middle of a simple bricked path. This place, it seemed a little dull, but kind of relaxing compared to what she had just endured. Getting a better look around, the red-haired girl wasn't able to understand or see anyone. She looked up to the sky and noticed that it was nighttime. Maybe I'm lost, Melody said to herself. Oh, far from it, my dear, an older-sounding voice said. Turning around, Melody sees what she could only describe as an owl in human clothes. He had a small pair of glasses as well as being well-dressed. Welcome to the world of dreams, the owl said. I'm in the world of dreams? Melody asked. Yes, that is right. My name is Owl. Owl introduced himself to her. Melody was about to tell him her name, but then a sweet sound of a flute playing was heard, playing a small tune. Melody looked around for the source of the sound, and then looked up at the sky. She gasped in amazement as a flying purple jester was playing the sweet song that was entering her ears. The jester stopped playing and noticed the girl, and Owl, and stopped playing. It flew and sped towards Melody, and Owl, making the older animal hide behind Melody due to the jester's speed. Although the jester stopped right in front of the girl, Melody was taken aback. This jester had these vibrant blue eyes that were just like a cat. They held joy in them. "Hello, visitor," they said. Their voice was so upbeat and happy, but it also sounded different than what she normally heard. Melody blinked a few moments, trying to comprehend what was right in front of her. Was it talking owl and a flying purple jester-like thing? Hello, Melody said. Spinning around, the purple jester stopped when they saw Al. "Al, what are you doing here?" they asked. "Well, I'm here to greet the visitor, as always." The purple jester turned towards Melody with a curious expression. "My name is Knights. What's yours?" Knights asked. "Oh, I'm Melody," she told them with a stutter in her voice. She was still nervous about what was going on. "Oh, that's a lovely name," Knight said, testing the name on their tongue in many different ways and tones. This sort of made Melody laugh. Knights turned back to her and looked at her. Then a thought came to their mind. "Say, Melody, have you ever thought about being able to fly?" Knights asked. At the mention of flying, the 13-year-old's eyes widened and she became kind of giddy. Melody always wanted to be able to fly, but her wardens at the orphanage always told her that it was impossible for her to fly. This would always make her upset, and she looked up at Knights and smiled. "I wish I could fly. It's always been my dream," Melody said. Knights looked over at Al, who just rolled his eyes and flew off to tend to some other things around the world of dreams. "Well, if you do lies with me, we can fly for real, Melody." Deal. Melody tried to say what Knights was saying. "Do lies?" Knights broke the word down, but she still couldn't say it properly. "Really? I could fly for real?" Melody asked. "Here, hold my hand and see for yourself, Melody," Knights told her. Melody was hesitant at first, but Knight didn't pressure her into doing something Melody could be scared of. But in the end, Melody gulped down her fear and held Knights' hand. The bright light emitted and the two became one person. Next thing Melody knew, it was as if she was there, but not at the same time. As if she was taking a back seat to something. She could see through Knights' eyes, but felt like she was in control as well. But this time, it was kind of clear that Knights would be in the driver's seat for her first flight. "Are you ready, Melody?" Knights asked. I think so," Melody answered. Her voice sounded far away and echoey. As they took flight, it took a while for the 13-year-old to get used to it, and then realize that she was flying. She opened her eyes and let out a happy laugh. Knight smiled as well as they flew. They took it easy, doing a few flips, loops, cartwheels. It was all joy, no fear. They were flying for quite a while until they saw something. It looked like a dark, shadowy rift of some kind. They stopped and looked at it from afar. "What's that?" Melody asked, not having a good feeling in their stomach. Knights didn't like how this looked. It seemed to open up out of nowhere. It could be one of Wiseman's many tricks or traps. But they also felt a sense of wonder and adventure. They wondered where it could take them, and if it was a portal to another world. "I don't know, but let's check it out, Melody," Knight said to her. Flying towards the rift, they all of a sudden felt a strong force pulling them. It was too strong for knights, and they couldn't fly away. Even though they tried their best, the pull of the void was too strong, and they were pulled into the rift. Al watched, horrified at this turn of events. Losing a visitor meant they could never wake up in the real world. In Traverse Town, a small rift had opened up, and Melody and Knight just spat out before it closed, and the two of them undualized. Melody opened her eyes and looked around, not being able to see where Knight's was. She couldn't find the jester anywhere, but she did spot something next to her. It looked like a key mixed with a sword, but also with a flute. It looked like there were 5 orbs on its handle. One of them was lit up. It was the red orb, as well as 3 crystals, 1 purple one, 1 red and black one, and 1 orange one. Melody didn't know what to make of this, as she moved it around and tested it out. Keyblade. This is kind of funny, Melody laughed to herself. Then she heard Knight's voice. Melody, is that you? Knight asked. Yeah, it's me. She answered her new friend. The Keyblade glowed for a second, causing Melody to drop it out of fear. And then Knights appeared. They looked around before spotting Melody and launching forward at top speed, bringing her into a tight hug. Knights was hugging Melody so tightly that she almost couldn't breathe. Ouch! Knights, that's too tight, Melody said. Oh, sorry, I was just worried. Looking around, they didn't know where they were. They both knew it was a town of some kind, and brushing off her blue dress and fixing up her twin buns in her hair that had become undone due to the events going on, they both set off, with Knights flying close behind her. They didn't know what was going on or what was happening, not knowing that someone had seen them in the distance. They crossed their arms as they walked off. In the world of dreams, Master Wiseman knew something was off. He could feel something was wrong. He could no longer sense Knight and the new visitor's presence. She was in the world of dreams and then gone. He also sensed the strong power of a rift of some kind in the old Dreamgate Square. Riala, Wiseman called out. The Nightmarian in question appeared, his name being mentioned, kneeling before his master. Master Wiseman, you summoned me? Riala asked, telling his creation about Knights and the visitor missing from the world of dreams. He told them about his plan. He was going to send Riala through the rift to track down the visitor and the traitor, hopefully getting rid of Knights once and for all, and the idea from the visitor being taken from them. Brilliant plan, Master Wiseman. Riala praised him, although his words didn't seem to impress his master, who just sighed, holding up one of his many hands, holding a simple, low-level Nightmarian. Riala knew what was going to happen. He's heard this speech and seen this demonstration so many times. Do not fail me, because if you do, your fate is better off if you don't return at all, he said darkly. Then, in his hand, the low-level Nightmarian was crushed. Its screams made Riala grimace as he kept his stone-cold expression. Bowing his head, he knew what was going to happen if he failed. He would be destroyed. I understand, Master Wiseman, he said. Riala flew off away from Wiseman and all the other higher-level Nightmarians, And once he knew he was out of sight, he took off his persona, his mask, and let his own personal harsh mask slip from his own face. He felt tears from his eyes. He was scared, not just for himself, but also for Knights. As well as that, Knights was his brother. He couldn't just kill Knights. Knights was family. And also the dreading fact that what would happen if he failed. He would not go back and be a free flyer like Knights. What would happen to Jackal if he left? He knew his quest had to be done. Speaking of Jackal, a slightly lower-class Nightmare rounded the corner, spotting his brother. This made his big Cheshire Cat grin turn sour. "Are you alright, brother?" Jackal asked. "I'm fine. I'm just worried about Knights." A single floating hand came to rest on Rayella's shoulder, as Jackal lacked a midsection, arms, neck, and legs. He was dubbed a failure by Wiseman, but Rayella didn't see him as one. He saw someone that could be difficult to land a hit on, due to their lack of body. "Have you noticed the rift?" Rayella asked. The orange jester nodded his head. He had seen it. "I've got to go through it and find Knights," Rayella said. A frown came to Jackal's face. "I'm going with you," Jackal said. "No. How about this for a deal? If me or Knights are not back by the time the next visitor arrives, come after me and them," Rayella asked. Jackal didn't like this idea. He wanted to go with his brother, but he went with it anyway. And just like that, Rayella, the red and black jester, left him. When he arrived at the rift, Rayella knew the words of Wiseman, and it came back to his mind. He grimaced for a second, taking a deep breath, before he flew into the rift, closing his eyes, and hoping that Knights is okay, wherever they are. Chapter 1 is concluded. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.